Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Doctor Wu movie collector MC02 Microscope, also known as the Revenge of the Fallen Scalpel. Now if you are in the market for picking this figure up, it is available and in stock right now over at Shozy Store, and for that of course I will leave a link down in the description box below. Taking a very quick look here at Scalpel's packaging, you can see that it is very simplistic in terms of its design. We have an outline there of Scalpel movie collector. This does appear to be an all-new line by Doctor Wu. As we take a look here at the side of the packaging, we do have an image of Scalpel fully transformed up in the microscope mode, and then as we take a look here at the back of the packaging, we've got some really awesome product shots of him in robot mode, and then once again what they're calling as his disguise mode. He does also come with one accessory, or really it's more of an included bonus. We do get a collector's card, and once again very similarly to the packaging, we do have some nice product shots there of Scalpel, with the back of the card just showcasing here some statistics. And so now taking a closer look here at Scalpel, aka the Doctor himself, I believe that Doctor Wu have done a really nice job in capturing Scalpel's appearance from the Revenge of the Fallen movie, especially considering this figure's scale, which I'll discuss later on in the review once we get down to the size comparisons. Bringing him in here for a closer look, I believe that the head sculpt is truly where the detail shines, especially when we take into consideration the amount of detailing and paintwork that we have got going on here for the eyes. You can see that the actual iris has been painted in a more red colour scheme, and you can also see some fantastic detailing of where his eyeball would be. I really do think that that looks incredible, and as we take a look there at these silver pieces, to me these could either be his eyelids or perhaps the glasses, as of course in the movie we do see him have glasses, and I do like this section here at the top which gives the illusion as if though Scalpel does indeed have hair. I really also do love the placement here of the dials that we will see later on in the microscope mode. I think that that creates for a really awesome illusion, and to me definitely looks as if though these are Scalpel's mandibles. As we take a look at him from a side-on perspective, I think that the overall nature there of the design is incredibly accurate to the movie, and you can see that they've also sculpted in some spinal detailing as well, once again to match his on-screen movie appearance. As we take a look here for the arms, I think that the sculpt work has come out really nicely. The figure isn't painted all that well though, I must state that straight away. The only areas of paint application are really the eyes and these eyelid sections. The rest of him is mainly just cast in either a really dark grey or a lighter shade of grey there for the legs. But taking a look here at the sculpt work, I think that the design there for the legs looks very accurate to the movie. They do appear very sharp like we saw when he did scrape alongside Sam's head, and I think that for the most part he has come out really nicely. In terms of articulation, surprisingly for a figure of this scale, he's actually really well articulated. So we do have a hinge joint here for the neck, as well as a rotation here for the main head. You can move these mandible sections here left to right due to the nature of the transformation, and you could also utilise this joint here in order to hinge this up and down. However, once again that is mainly due to transformation. You can hinge this section here back and forth also, and you can also take the brow section here and hinge this back and forth as well. So it really is up to your own personal preference on how you orientate all of this. Turning our attention here down to this section, this entire region here can also rotate left to right, so you really are able to utilise all of the joints in order to achieve maximum expression with this particular release. And as we take a look here down to the legs, these are on ball joints, so they can hinge up and down as well as hinge left and right. They can also bend here at one hinge joint and then at another hinge joint here. So once again the legs are incredibly well articulated, and the same can be said here for all of the various different hinge joints. And then finally taking a look here, this main breastplate is indeed on a hinge joint, so this can hinge forwards and backwards, and the arms themselves can also hinge forwards and backwards as well. So overall, in terms of detailing and articulation, I think that this is for sure a really fun looking figure, and in my opinion is actually really accurate to what we saw in the movie. And due to him having all of those different hinge joints for the legs, you can for sure get him into quite a fair amount of dynamic poses, which once again I was quite surprised to see. So for sure there's a lot of versatility when posability comes into play. And so now turning here to a very quick size comparison, we have our new Scalpel compared next to the Studio Series Deluxe Class Jazz, and of course the MP version of Jazz. And if you were to ask me personally, I think that he better scales with the MP figures, as in the movie Scalpel was roughly the same size as that of Sam's head, and of course seeing as Sam is human, he's considerably smaller than that of the Transformers. So I don't believe that the deluxe version of Jazz here for the Studio Series works all that well, and I particularly don't really think that the MP figure works all that well, as of course Scalpel should be a lot smaller. But personally, out of the two, I think that he probably works better here next to the MP figures. But honestly, in all, I just think that he's a great little Decepticon to have alongside the shelf, and personally I don't really think that the Studio Series is going to give us an updated version of this character anytime soon, and the original ROTF version of Scalpel I believe was a massive deluxe class. So if you are looking for potentially the best looking Scalpel, I for sure believe that we are now looking at it here with this Doctor Wu version. And so now turning here to the transformation of Scalpel, surprisingly it's actually fairly simplistic, which in my opinion is one of the downsides to this figure, considering he's rather simplistic, his alternate mode is for sure the weakest out of the two modes. But to begin with, you're going to want to take the legs here and just bring these sections here forwards, and of course repeat the same process here. And then what you can do is take this tab and this will peg into this slot, so just snap them in. Take this section here and collapse that down. Of course, repeat the same process here and subsequently here with these ones, and then just bring those in and clip those there nice and securely into place. With that now done, this will create the microscope bed, and then we'll take this section and pull this out on a double hinge joint and just rest that there along the side. We'll then take the arms here and just compress those, and this too will also relax and rest along there. We can take this piece, lift this up, and you're then going to want to rotate this section around, which will then allow you to take this section here and clip this all the way down until it snaps nice and securely into place. We can then take this brow section here and hinge this section down, take the mandibles and just hinge those left to right, and there we have Scalpel fully transformed. Once again, for sure not the strongest out of the two modes, but considering this figure's scale, I think that they have done a rather good job, especially as we take a look here at some of the detailing of where the dials would be, as well as this pauldron section here. I think that that all looks really nice, and you can see we've got some nice metallic silver paint, as well as some nice black paint applications here for the dial. The bed section itself doesn't look the best, however, once again, considering its scale, I believe that this figure is supposed to be more fun than accurate to the movie, at least in terms of his alternate mode, and I think that it works rather nicely. So for sure, whilst it may not be the most accurate alternate mode that we have ever seen, I believe that it does the job perfectly. In terms of a size comparison, once again, let's bring in the masterpiece version of Jazz, just rising the camera up ever so slightly. You can see that when he is transformed, he becomes even smaller than he was in terms of his robot mode. So this for sure really is a very small figure, and if anything, works better as a Cybertronian microscope than compared to that of a humanoid microscope. I can for sure see this scaling really well here with the MP figure. So once again, personally for me, if you're not all that into the movie accuracy and you just want this here to scale nicely with some of your actual Transformers characters, I think that this particular figure works fantastically well here with the masterpiece releases. And so some final thoughts here for the newly released movie collector Dr. Wu Scalpel. I personally think that this is actually a really nice figure. Of course, the transformation and the alternate mode may not be the most satisfying, but in terms of the actual robot mode, I think that they have pretty much nailed it to how he appeared in the movie. He is missing some paint applications, however, I'm pretty sure that that is something that a customizer or just a collector in general will not be able to remedy with perhaps some black or some silver Sharpies. I think that for sure there is a lot of potential, especially in terms of the sculpt work here for the legs. I think that the articulation on this figure too is really nice, especially where the legs are concerned. There's so much versatility in the way that you can actually manipulate some of these ball joints around, and I also do think that we do get quite a good range of motion here for the head. I do think that the sculpt work and the detailing for the head also works really well, and when compared next to the MP figures, I think that that is probably the best scale that we are ever going to get. So for sure, Scalpel here definitely gets a recommendation for me. If you are in the market for adding Scalpel to your collection, he is available and in stock right now over at Shozy Store. So for that, of course, I will leave a link down in the description box below, and be sure to also let me know down in the comment section below on what you think of this latest entry from Dr. Wu. I do have their Mohawk figure, so for sure stay tuned for an upcoming review of that piece. And so with that being said, I thank you all so much for watching this review, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.